Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Chelsea, and in today's video I'm going to be doing a breastfeeding slash sleeping update. I feel like the two go hand in hand for me personally. Like breastfeeding and sleeping go hand in hand together, like one impacts the other. I talked a lot about sleeping. I guess that's like the one thing that parents talk about when they have a new baby, so I have talked a lot about sleeping on this channel, and I'll link a few videos down below and also up here so you can watch any of them if you're interested. And I have also talked, I don't know when was the last time that I talked about breastfeeding. I know I did like breastfeeding must-haves and my breastfeeding journey, and people still are watching those videos, so if you haven't seen them, you're interested how my breastfeeding journey has gone so far. It's not been easy. It is easy now. My daughter is 14 months old and I enjoy it. It's very convenient, but it was tough to get to this point, like the first couple of weeks of having a baby. So if you're in that stage and you're like, oh, this is really hard, keep going. If that's what you want to, you just push through. It does get easier. So yeah, Rose is 14 months old, and to be honest, I never had like a time stamp or frame in my brain of when I would stop breastfeeding. It was just whenever I felt like this is enough, I've had enough. And to be honest, I've had points throughout this journey where I'm like, I am so over this. Like at the moment, I'm over pumping. Like I don't know, I just feel like it's sometimes I'm like, oh, but I do it because I know like I want to keep my milk supply up when I'm away from Rose, and I also don't want to get mastitis. Like if I just leave it, then I'll get mastitis. So yeah, I'm still pumping at the moment. That's the one thing that I'm over. Bits where I've wanted to give up feeding is when Rose has been like biting, and she hasn't really done that in a long time, but she went through a stage of like biting all the time, like, and it wasn't on purpose. To be like when she's teething, she would just like clamp down on my nipple, and it was intensely painful. Like if you have nipples, you know how painful that would be. So I wanted to give up then, and also like when she turned like 11 months, she went through a phase of constantly wanting to feed. Like she had, now she knew, like when I said milk, she knew what I was talking about, but she sort of made this connection in her head that like my breasts were underneath my top, and she'd be like pulling it down all the time, wanting to feed. Not like long feeds, just like 2 seconds and she's gone about her business, then she'll come back like 5 minutes later, then do that all the time, and that was really frustrating for me. I was like, why have you suddenly become so obsessed with my like pulling down my tops? Just, and also she didn't want to like feed sometimes, she just wanted to look at them, and I'm like, this is weird. So I wanted to give up them, but it was just a phase. As with all things, like when your child is developing, I don't know what developmental phase that was, but yeah, it was just a phase. So I'm glad I sort of powered through. And also so I got my period back quite early. No, actually 7 months postpartum was when I got my period back, but I was like having like episodes of like bleeding, which I did touch on in a video. I can't remember which one, but yeah, I was having episodes of that. But then, you know, like before you get pregnant, this happens for some people, not some people. If you have regular periods, like your breast gets sore before your period comes. Like I had a few months where I was getting really tender breasts, and I was like, it was excruciating for Rose to feed, and I was like, oh, I don't want to do this. Like, why is this happening? I don't want to. It was only like few days before my period, but it was still really painful. So that made me want to give up. But as I said, it was just a phase, and I haven't had that for maybe like the last 2 to 3 months. So I don't know. Maybe the hormones were a bit higher or whatever, you know, like with breastfeeding and all like our hormones of our period, that's another thing. Like everything is always fluctuating and changing, so that can make things difficult. But those are the only times where I've wanted to sort of give up, but I've persevered and kept going because it's very easy and convenient. So at the moment, yeah, I pump when she's away from me. And I use the pipetta pump, and I also use like hand express loads of times because I just find it more convenient, to be honest. So I hand express using my hacker, the trusty hacker, which I've talked about so many times on this channel. Love it. Best like invention ever for mothers who are breastfeeding. So what was happening though, like when she was away from me, like I built up quite a substantial milk stash in the freezer, and when my period is coming, like my milk supply drops a bit, so I'm not able to pump as much. I'm able to feed whatever, but obviously not pumping, like hand expressing. So the milk supply in the freezer was like basically going down and not matching like what I was pumping when she was away from me. So I was like, let me just replace one feed like with coconut milk, like for the one that's fortified with calcium. So I tried that and she was taking it okay, but then when I took it to nursery, she wouldn't take it, like she wouldn't drink it. I tried mixing it with breast milk a bit. No, Rose decided she didn't want it. So I've now had to, like, I was hoping to pump less when she was away from me, but yeah, still have to keep going with that for the moment. However, she has reduced her feeds. Like I played a part in her reducing her feed. So for example, in the morning when she woke up, whatever time that was, I would always feed her. However, I was like, I knew she didn't need that feed, but I would just feed her because I didn't want to get up straight away. I didn't want to rush out of bed and make breakfast. I wanted to just like ease myself into the day. And then I was like, Chelsea, this is lazy. Just like get up and get her breakfast. So we dropped the morning feed probably about 4 months ago now, because I know she didn't need it. It was just for my convenience. So we dropped that and we're down to 2 feeds in the day, and that's either, it depends on her, but it's usually when she's about to go nap. She'll have like a feed because I baby wear her to get her to sleep, so she'll have a feed in a baby carrier and then that's it. Those are only 2 feeds that she has in there. Sometimes she doesn't even, like if I don't offer it, sometimes she will just be about her business. I think when she's going to sleep, she likes to feed for comfort, and that just relaxes her, gets her in the mood to go to sleep. But other than that, she doesn't feed, and that was her choice. Like I noticed that she didn't want to. I'd be like, milk, 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 and she just looks at me and just runs off or laughs. So that was on her own accord. And there was times where I was like, oh my gosh, like this is so demanding. When am I not going to have to feed this much? And I guess that ties in with sleep. So we still co-sleep. So Rose co-sleeps with her dad. I sleep in a separate room. And this has been our arrangement for a really long time, probably like since she was like 4 months old. So yeah, for quite a substantial amount of time. And that was because I found that with him, she co-slept better, well, she slept better because I feel like she would wake up more times in the night because she could smell the milk. And I didn't want that. She still wake up every 3 hours. Every 3 hours without fail until she was about 10 months old. I fed her every 3 hours in the night. And when I was doing this, I was like, this is so draining. Like, I'm just so over this. But then one night, she just like slept for like maybe 5 hours. And I was awake, obviously, because my body clock was set to waking up every 3 hours. And I was like, Rose, like, are you okay? Like, are you alive? Like, what's happening? So yeah, she started doing like longer stretches when she was 10 months old on her own. Obviously we co-sleep because that was just the way we were getting most sleep. And as I said, at the moment I'm doing a master's. I uploaded a video of how like that's going, so I'll link it up there. That's why I did this, and down below as well. I was doing a master's. Co-sleeping was working best for us, and I was like thinking like I need to transfer her into a cot, I need to do this. But again, I feel like that was just because I felt like this is the way how society says I should do things. And then I was like, why am I going to upset the status quo? Like, why am I going to upset this thing that's working really well for us right now just to please others? Like, we're not people pleasing, we're doing what works best for us. So I'm in the room, her cot's there, she does not like to sleep in there. I did try for a bit and I was like, I don't have the time or energy to do this right now. Like one day she's going to sleep in her bed and it's not right now. And that's okay with me and my husband. And Rose loves like being close to us. She sleeps, as I said, she sleeps great. So from 10 months old, she would wake up maybe every 5 hours. Sometimes she'd go back to her 3-hour wake ups. She'd wake up like maybe at 7. Sorry, she'd go down at 7, maybe wake up at 10, and then she'd maybe wake up at 5. So sometimes she'd do like a first wake up 3 hours and she'd do a longer stretch. Then she started doing like 6-hour stretches, 7-hour stretches, and at the moment she only wakes up once in the night to feed. And this is a place where I never thought I'd get to. I didn't do anything. I didn't do a cry out method. Every time she wakes up in the night, I wake up and feed her, tend to her. And I'm not saying like you're bad if you do cry out. Everyone has to do whatever works best for them, just like we're doing what works best for us, which is co-sleeping. But yeah, she only wakes up once in the night, and it's like unpredictable the time. Sometimes she wakes up at 2, sometimes she wakes up at 5, sometimes she wakes up at 4, sometimes she doesn't wake up till the morning. So sometimes, yeah, she sleeps through, sometimes she doesn't. But I'm just happy that she's got to this stage where she's not waking up every 3 hours, because that was draining for me whilst also studying. Like, yeah, it's a lot. So we didn't, co-sleeping works great for us. She loves, I remember like being 11 wanting my dad to stay in the bed till I fall asleep. So I mean, yeah, like whatever you have to do to get your baby, whatever our view is, like whatever we have to do to get us to have the most sleep, then we're going to do it. So if that's co-sleeping, her sleeping in her cot, which doesn't work, whatever it is, like we put our well-being first, because if we're not well, then we can't look after her. Do you know what I mean? So that's what works good for us. We do have a mattress on the floor, like we're trialing that, but again, that takes like effort and perseverance, and right now we don't have that time. As I said, I don't have the time to be trying out new things. Like, this is just a phase of our life that we're in. One day she'll sleep in her bed, and that day is not right now. So yeah, that's the update on sleep. And I know, like, the question everyone says, if she sleeps in your bed, or if you sleep in separate beds, how do you maintain intimacy? Intimacy does not have to be at nighttime, first of all. Also, most parents know that when it comes to nighttime, you're absolutely shattered by the end of the day. No one has time to have sex, because I guess when people say intimacy, they're talking physical intimacy, and there's other ways that you can maintain intimacy that is not physical. But I guess physical intimacy is a very important part of relationships. You don't have to have sex only in the nighttime, and you also don't have to have sex in the same bed that you, well, you shouldn't, because that's gross, that you go sleep with your child in. So we have time for that. It doesn't, like, just because you co-sleep as parents doesn't mean that you can't have time for intimacy. And another thing also is that a thing that I guess I felt pressure to get rid of was her dummy. So we use her dummy still for her to sleep. It works amazing. So she only has it literally, like, she finishes breastfeeding, puts it in her mouth, falls asleep, and then it drops her, and that's it for the rest of the time. Like, she doesn't put it back during the night. Sometimes she does, but it's normally out for most of the night, and that's just it. I felt the pressure to get rid of her dummy because, I don't know, just people saying you have to get rid of it before they form an attachment to it. But then I was like, why would I do something that's not what, like, this is working good for us, why am I getting rid of it? Again, like, trusting your own intuition as a parent, realizing that you just have to do what's best for you. And I guess the worry around dummies is, like, I don't know, she will not talk or whatever, but she doesn't have it in a day. She only has it for naps, and she doesn't keep it in long anyways. And she can chat for England. She loves to talk, so in her baby language, so it doesn't affect her speech. She has an attachment to it. Yes, it helps her to go to sleep. What's the problem with that? Like, we have attachment to things as adults that helps to soothe us. So why can't children have that? I don't know. I feel when she gets to the age where she can understand, mummy's going to take this away because you don't need this right now, then I'll take it away. So maybe when she's 3, 2, 2.5, whatever, we'll see. Like, there's no point in me thinking ahead and rushing and getting anxious about these things that haven't happened yet. I feel like that just puts extra pressure and worries on us as parents that we don't need. So yeah, that is my breastfeeding slash sleeping update. We're down to 3, maybe 4 sometimes breastfeeds throughout the whole 24-hour period. Sometimes less, sometimes 3 or 4, maybe more if she's unwell, but yeah, that's it. She sleeps through because we co-sleep, and that works that works the best for us. And sometimes she wakes up, sometimes she doesn't, but sleep isn't linear as well. Like, adjusting your expectations to how your baby should sleep really helps you to manage. Like, if you look at the developmental stage, and I feel like once she got to the developmental stage that she was ready developmentally to sleep longer stretches, she did that. There was nothing that we did that we could have done. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, there were points where I was like searching the internet, saying to my husband, like, should we try cry it out? We did try it like once, not once, like we were laying next to her and she was crying because she wanted me to hold her and rock her. That didn't work. It was just too excruciating. So I have tried those things. I've searched the internet, how to get your baby to sleep longer stretches, do a dream feed, do this. None of it worked until she was ready to sleep longer stretches. So I'm just here to encourage you, if you're in that stage and phase and you think it's not going to get better, it will. Like, we do a routine and stuff, and I think that helps. You have to get like the wake windows right, like the amount of time that your baby should be awake before they go to bed, and make sure they're not napping too long in the day. Like, there's some stuff that you have to do, but some stuff you can't control. It's out of your control. So just go with the flow. Things will get better, and you're doing a great job. Trust your intuition as a parent. And that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.